there's a distance between us. It's getting hard to reach out. Haven't seen you in seasons, but all I hear is your voice. I know my limits, you can break me down, but I'll stay till the finish line. And I've been counting minutes for quite some time now, just to see you again. And I've been counting days to get away, to see you again, see you again. Been finding ways to get away, to see you again, see you again.
Ah, crap. I hate when that happens.
We got millions of reasons to let it all go. Hope we're not too broken. I know I'm not always strong. And I've been counting days to get away, to see you again, see you again. Been finding ways to get away, to see you again, see you again. I'm crawling around, searching for higher ground. Can't see in front of me, my enemies. I've tried every possibility, ability to know if I can bleed. If that's what you wanted, you won't get it tonight. 'Cause I can fly, I can fly, I can fly, yeah. I can fly. I'm crawling around, searching for higher ground. Can't see in front of me, my enemies have tried every possibility, ability to know if I can bleed. If that's what you wanted, you won't get it tonight. 'Cause I can fly, I can fly, I can fly, I can fly. Lions roaring in the morning sun, searching for a longer day. People feeling like the light has just come. We must never stop the way. Birds jumping and I hear my name, grasping into life. Life is happy but it's so insane. We must merely make a start. Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah, we'll never be alone. Savannah, the beauty of the world. Savannah, let's all take a walk. Savannah. Lion's gonna come. The birds have just begun. We will always take a stand for the people, for the land. Let's go back to when we were young. For the animals we stand. Let's go back to when trees were swung. Kids across the land. Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah, we'll never be alone. Savannah, the beauty of the world. Savannah, let's all take a walk. Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah, we'll never be alone. Savannah, You and me are born of regularities, living all the dreams, playing all the games, and getting high in love. They can chase us down, but we will always win. Leading every dance, feeling every touch, and getting high in love. We're invincible. Trust in me. We're invincible. Don't you see? We're invincible. We're invincible. We're invincible. We're invincible. We're invincible. Let's escape the gray and let the colors rain. Turn the shit we do and our words into pure reality. 'Cause you and me are meant to be what they don't see. Never feeling wrong 'cause we don't belong. And getting high in love. We're invincible. Trust in me. We're invincible. Don't you see? We're invincible. We're invincible.
Hey there. Hope you're. Oh, there goes the cat to my micron. Hope your day's going well. Hopefully you can hear me. Where the heck did my micron cap go? I was having some audio problems the other day, based on my OBS setup. So hopefully you can hear me well. Like before, the audio, the background music was like way too friggin' loud. I think I'm gonna turn it down in a little bit even more. But hopefully you can hear me. Now I gotta find the cap to my micron. Ah, there it is. Rolled to the other side of my chair. I have some ink here. I have no idea what ink this is. Hey there, Tony. If you guys can hear me, just let me know. Like I said, I was having some audio issues yesterday. Oh no. I have to clean my hands. My this little ink bottle was glued closed with ink. Alright, perfect. Yeah, yesterday, for whatever reason, like the audio input for the background music was like doubled up. And the second one was like on maximum volume. So you couldn't hear like anything I was saying. Pretty much botched an entire stream. Which is unfortunate. So hopefully this, yeah, I'm trying something new. I'm using a webcam and OBS now, instead of streaming straight from my phone. So we'll see. I don't know. We'll see if this is better or not. All right, I think this ink that I'm using right now is a mixture. This is either a mixture of Eon Vortex and Black Magic, or this is a mixture of Holbein Super Opaque Black and maybe water or Ultra Draw or something to water it down. I'm thinking that this is the Holbein. I'm working on a sample page from Randy Green, based around the comic Ghost. I've actually already done this piece, but I have a bunch of sample pages that I ink in my spare time. And it's always a good idea, even if you're drawing something yourself, to go back a little bit later and redo it. Just so you can, A, see if your skills have improved. But there's also, like, as far as inking goes, there's a decision-making process that goes into it. And it's always good to see how your decision-making process evolves, or does it evolve? You know, do you make the same ideas or choices with line work the second time around, or do you do what you did the first time? So it's always a really good idea to go back and redraw or re-ink something you've done before, and then compare it to the one that you did before when you're done. There's a few decisions I made on the last time I inked this that I know I'm not gonna make again, and a few that I know that I am. One of the decisions I made last time was when I inked this, I used a brush to be able to kind of do individual leaves. And that is definitely something I'm gonna do again. I like the look of it a lot. But the last time I worked on this, I know there's a few places I deviated from Randy's pencils that did not work in my favor. So definitely going to reevaluate that. At least I think I'm going to reevaluate it. We'll see when I'm done. I doubt this page will be finished today. I do have plans. This week is my birthday week. So I have some. My birthday was yesterday. So I have plans with family today. But work doesn't stop just because. And while technically this isn't work, I'm a firm believer in that you have to hold yourself to a schedule, even if you're working on something, like if you're on a project or not. If you break your schedule, it gets really hard to get back on it when you need to. Oh, thank you. You know what's funny is I almost find it easier to do these leaves with a brush pen than an actual brush. Like, the actual brush is great for certain things like general line work and rendering. I find it works better. But for filling in blacks and for whatever reason, the stroke that I use for the leaves works better with a brush pen. I don't know why. So I may switch to a brush pen. And this ink is definitely Holbein, super opaque. Thanks, Mike. The most difficult artist that I've inked over, that is, every artist poses their own difficulty in different areas. And it really depends on what is difficult for you. So an artist like Randy Green is super tight. Adam Warren's the same way. So you don't have any room for a personal interpretation. They lay down their line weights and everything the exact way that they want it drawn. So you have to be super, super precise. Now, if you're good at being super precise, or essentially tracing, I guess, with a different instrument than what they drew it with, then that's easy. It's like training wheels. But like I said, you make one wrong pen stroke and they start to add up and count against you. So in a lot of ways, Adam Warren, he does a lot of textures, and he's a super tight penciler. So it's easy to do the general line work, but his textures are killer. Jim Lee is one of those that there's a lot of interpretation. And then I actually find it easier to ink over Jim Lee than David Finch. Finch is one of those that I think Richard Friend said it, if you get his general silhouette and his shadows down, which are pretty easy because he defines them really well, then your picture's going to look okay. But in my opinion, the way Finch renders doesn't work as well for ink as it does for pencil. So you have to have a fair amount of artistic interpretation of his rendering, and basically in a way kind of ignore it and make it more sleek, while still keeping the angular kind of line work that he does. So I would say that, like, overall for me, Finch is probably one of the more difficult people to ink. Jim Lee is really hard too, just because you kind of have to go into a Jim Lee piece knowing, like, even though he doesn't indicate a lot of times where areas are solid black, you kind of got to figure all that out for yourself, what he meant to do. But every artist has their difficult parts. For me, interpreting like what their intention is more difficult than an artist like Randy Green, where they've kind of laid it all out for you and you just gotta stick to it. There's still a level of difficulty there. It depends on how precise you are. And I actually am a pretty loose inker. So someone like Randy can actually be difficult for me. Whereas Jim Lee, my natural inking style works better over Jim Lee. It's just the interpretation that gets me almost every single time. You have to have like a real strong anatomical knowledge to ink Jim Lee. Or that, or you just trace his stuff, but I don't. I think one of the beauties of being an inker is being able to bring your own personality to the pencils. Yeah, Finch does a lot of hatching, but the thing with Finch's hatching is, if you actually look at it up close, it doesn't hatch in a way that, like, you wouldn't be able to trace his hatching with ink and it look good. You have to, like, render his hatching out. You have to, like, make it thick and thin. Like, he kind of does it, but he does a lot of, like, fat, blunt lines and stuff that's, like, I don't know. In ink, it looks... It doesn't look as sleek. Looks fine on pencil because you're not... You know, the graphite doesn't have the contrast that ink does. So there's a lot of feathering and stuff that you got to do with Finch's work to kind of make it more sleek. Whereas Jim Lee, the way he hatches is so loose that it has a sleekness to it already. So They're very different. But then again, because I'm so loose, I deal with a lot of angular shapes. And so Finch's base is easy for me. I can throw in his silhouette and his shadows super quick. But his hatching just kills me. Like, trying to make it look the way it needs to look. Not that there's anything wrong with his hatching, it's just with ink, I don't think. If you were to like take his pencils and up the contrast to make it look like inks, it'll look very muddy. It needs to get sleeked out a lot for ink. And you'll notice when he inks his own stuff versus his pencils, his lines are a lot thinner on his hatching than on his pencil. Like, this is one of those interpretation things I was talking about. Like, Randy definitely did not illustrate a lot of individual leaves. They're more blocky shapes. But I'm actually going in. Yeah, it is smaller and tighter with Finch, but the way Finch hatches with his pencil, like his stroke, it's actually pretty wide. And short. Like, his strokes are really short and wide. So, like, it can actually make the edge of a line look muddy. Like, where I would almost rather dry brush than have to hatch it. So you, like I said, you can't just trace Finch. You definitely have to embellish his hatching. Which is honestly why artists like Finch or Jim Lee, where there's a lot of, like, so much interpretation, they don't go to finished pencils when they work on their own stuff because it's a waste of time. And if you look at their inks versus their pencils, their rendering is completely different. So it's actually almost better to look at how they ink their own stuff as the guide to how to ink their stuff. Like, trying to get a thin to thick line with a pencil isn't the easiest thing to do. You have to use a pretty soft lead and scribble and flick your line, and Finch uses a pretty hard lead. I think he uses like 2H or 4H lead, something like that. Which doesn't lend itself to a nice taper. So he kind of scribbles into his rendering. But then if you look at his own inks, it's completely different. So you kind of like gotta use his stuff as a guide and then do your own thing on Finch, in my opinion. Like I said, Jim Lee's sort of the same way. You gotta interpret and do your own thing. Make it look good. Not that it doesn't already look good, but make sure you don't make it look bad, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, the finished product should look as good, if not better, than the pencils by themselves. If it doesn't, then you screwed up. I mean, that's true for your own work. If you're inking yourself and your inks don't look as good or better than your pencils, you need to practice more. Or like re-examine your approach. Oh no, this little area being broken up is bothering me. Wrightson? I love Bernie Wrightson. I actually did a inking study of Bernie Wrightson on here once. He is extremely loose and extremely tight at the same time. Bernie Wrightson is, I like to call him controlled chaos. He has a very organic style that is almost so precise it's robotic. I don't know how he does it. Wrightson's probably one of the most impressive artists that I've seen personally. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there that are great, but Wrightson has this like organic quality to everything he does that is still so controlled. Like his parallel lines and hatching is insanely controlled, yet doesn't look like he uses a ruler or anything when he does it. I don't know. The guy had a hand. I don't know. He was definitely a master of his style. I actually really enjoy working on like doing studies of rights and stuff. But again, Wrightson's one of those that, with how organic his lines are, yet controlled at the same time. Like you throw one line wrong, and it completely ruins the look. So the control that he had was just unreal. Especially knowing like some of the tools that he used. He used a lot of Gillot nibs, like the 303, and the 303 is a very flexible nib. So some of the control he's able to get with that nib is just insane.
Did you think it was...
Ah. That's unfortunate. When you overload your brush with ink. And that's gonna suck to clean up. Oh, hold on a second. I gotta clean my brush. All right, I'm back. And yeah, I'm gonna have some stuff to clean up on that. That's unfortunate. That stroke right there when I was trying to fill in a little or a little white speck, my brush laid outside the line. That sucks. Oh well. Such is life. All right, so a couple other things that I missed. Oh, thank you. I'm actually, that's surprising. Analyzing other artists' styles is actually not something I normally do. It's actually, but thank you for the compliment. I mean, there's a lot of artists out there that I would say fall into the controlled chaos area, but Wrightson's chaos is so controlled that it's almost not even gritty. It's purposeful. I don't know how to say it. Like I've seen some really gritty artists that, I mean, you can tell that that's their style, and you know they're fast and fluid and they have that style. But Wrightson it's like, I don't know. The guy was definitely a master of what he did, and it's polished to a point that you can't call it rough and gritty, but it's super organic, I guess. So, all right, I'm gonna put this acrylic ink to the back for a second. So something in this panel that you guys probably can't see. Right here. Now, I didn't do this in the other version. There's some indication of some rendering, like some cracks in the stonework right here. I didn't put that in the last time. Now the trick to this is to use your 102 nib, or any nib really. Lay the line down with a nib, even though it's going to be all black. When I brush ink and fill that, I'll be able to see that line under it, and then I'll be able to go on top of it with white ink to kind of do like the reverse inking. And I think I might actually do a halo on Ghost here, which I didn't do before. And I'm probably kind of out of frame. All right. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do a Halo, which I suck at. I hate doing Halos. All right. Now we go back to our brush. Yeah, this is definitely Holbein super opaque black. At least I'm pretty sure it is. I know it's an acrylic ink. All right. Stephen Platt. I gotta take a look at his work real quick. See if it's who I think I'm thinking of. Okay, yeah, I was remembering his work. Yeah, Stephen Platt actually kind of reminds me of Finch. I'd take a second to Google some of his work. His penciling style, it reminds me a lot of Finch. See, I guess when I'm talking about gritty, talking like, it's gonna apply more to illustrators. So I guess kind of what, who's the guy? I gotta remember. Crap. What's his name? Tommy Lee Edwards. When I think of gritty and organic, someone like Tommy Lee Edwards is kind of where it's kind of what I think of when I talk about that gritty art style. I guess there's a difference between grit and organic, but for me, they're kind of the same. You're either super polished and you're a surgeon with your lines, or you're a little bit more free flowing. All right, so now for the interesting part. I think what we're gonna do here. Hold on one second. I'm gonna need some additional tools. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. My Posca pins, man. These things are playing magic tricks on me on a daily basis, man. Oh, there it is. It's hiding behind my keyboard. Jeez, I gotta reorganize my workspace. Grab my brush pen as well. I do not have a Twitter. I mean, I do, but I don't use it. I use Instagram more. Now, what I gotta do is hold this at an angle, and I don't know if you'll be able to see this. Let me go to my where I can see I highly doubt you'll be able to see it. Let me see if I can get the light on here in a angle. But basically, through the brushed on ink, I can see the lines that I threw down with the nib. So my first thing I'm gonna do is come in with a Posca pen, and I'm just gonna make this halo a little bit more uniform. Just by coming in with a Posca pen and just going around the whole halo with it. Bam, it's uniform now. And then I'm gonna grab another nib. I may have to water this down. It's getting kind of thick, but it's Dr. P.H. Martin's pen white. Yeah, I have to water it down. Stuff does not want to flow. Oh, there we go. I got it to flow. All right, so now I'm gonna have to come in, and my line comes from here to here. And then the other line comes from here to here. This had like a little thick section to it. There. And then I need some water for my white ink. Hold on one second. I just broke one of my templates. Yeah, sweet. So a little trick whenever you have ink that's not flowing well, kind of put some more of this pen white on here. Just take the nib with the ink on it and just dip the very tip in water. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull down these lines. Come on. Flow. Flow, damn you. Alright, another dip in water. Okay. We're being stubborn. Here we go. Alright. So I'm going to pull some of these lines down. Anytime after you do that, clean off the edge of your ruler. Learned that one the hard way. Now, for me, this stuff is like a back and forth of corrections. So there's an overthrown line right here where I cross into the other panel border. I'm just gonna get that out of there with my brush pen. Some areas where the panels didn't close out, touch that up. Down here, there we go. That looks good to me. All right. come back in with my micron. Touch that up a little bit. Smooth things out. I don't even know what my Twitter is, to be honest with you. My Instagram is at Ryan Kirby Inks, I think. Or is it Kirby Inkworks? It's at Kirby Inkworks. Alright, back to the 102. Now, the use of the 102 here is, we'll see how well it wants to treat me. Yeah, see, the 102 is not treating me well today. So, micron it is. I've been having the worst luck lately with my 102 nibs and my ink. And this 01 micron, this actually needs to go in the trash. That is very dried out. Where's my other 102 nib? This is an older nib. Let's see if this one gives me any more luck. When my stuff starts to skip like that, it's just... See, I mean, this is killing me. The funny thing is this ink is acting like it's super thick, and it's not. Then again, I'm wondering at this point, I might need to add water to this ink. It is acting thicker than it should be. This ink is relatively fresh. Could just be that my nibs aren't as clean as they should be. See, now it's working fine. I don't know. And now it's not. Alright, so I need to buy some stir sticks or something. I don't know. But I keep these little pipettes, and I have a cup full of dirty ink water that I use to clean my brush. I'm just gonna add a few drops of water in that ink. And I'm going to give it a little stir. You know what? I think I have some toothpicks. Give me a second. Little toothpicks to put this up. The difficulties of working with traditional mediums. Stir this ink up real quick. Alright. Go back to my newer 102 nib. See if that helped out at all. There we go. Much better. Maintaining the right consistency of your ink is like such an important thing. Such an important thing. Like, it could be the nib, it could be the paper, it could be the ink. Having a problem solve that. I see why so many people go to digital these days. But and honestly, lines like this, I'd actually probably do with a micron. But just like when your lines start skipping and stuff like that, it's almost just best to switch tools. If you sit there and fight the line, you're just gonna make your line look terrible. Randy, what is this line here? I don't know what that line's supposed to be, Randy. This ink is really frustrating me. I swear I have the worst luck with ink and paper. The inks I really like don't work with any paper. Like they're hit and miss. Like they always flow for me, but you'll end up with a sheet that like all of a sudden it like wants to bleed with that ink. And then you're screwed. But an ink that doesn't want to flow, you're not going to get thin lines. And it's I don't know. Like I said, sometimes it's just better not to fight the tool. Switch to a micron or a Copic multiliner or something. Which that's what I'm gonna end up doing once I finish the outlining here. Just so funny because this ink, like I said, is relatively fresh. The bottle is like brand new. It could be that I mixed the inks, but chemically there shouldn't have been a problem. This is essentially Winsor & Newton Black Indian ink, not the liquid Indian ink, but the Black Indian ink. And the ink is normally super thin. Like I normally have issues with that ink bleeding on a lot of paper, and I've been using it for the last couple days. So the ink has sat out. It's condensed a little bit, but I've also used a fair amount of it. So I topped off the jar with Speedball Super Black, which chemically they're the same composition. It's lamp black with shellac. There's no reason that the ink should have a weird counteraction. You're not using different binders or anything. It's not like I'm mixing acrylic ink with a shellac ink or something like that. But this ink is laying down like it's very thick. Or not necessarily that it's very thick. It might be something to do with the surface tension of it. I don't know. There's a whole chemistry behind inks and stuff like that. It's pretty interesting. Especially modern inks, I mean. My go-to ink is Ultra Draw. I never have issues with it flowing, ever. But the problem is, it's very sensitive with what type of paper you use it on. I can't reliably use it on Eon board. I can more reliably use it on Strathmore, but even then I still get the occasional Strathmore board that wants to bleed with it. So same thing with Higgins Black Magic. I hate Black Magic for brush inking, but it flows super well with a nib. That you don't have to worry about flow issues. But it's one of those inks that are so thin that trying to get good hairlines out of it's pretty hard. In fact, I had the same issue when inking this piece originally, to the point where I ended up switching off of the nib completely. And I should just switch. I am working on Strathmore paper. I should just switch to the one to the Ultra Draw. But I need an ink that's gonna work on more paper. I have the same problem with Eon Vortex. Super thick. Holbein, super opaque black, same deal, so thick. I end up having to mix it with a thinner acrylic ink, like Liquitex or something, to make it flow. Spinning my board around, my freaking webcam's getting caught on the artboard. Yeah, but this ink is mostly, what I'm using right now is mostly Winsor & Newton Black Indian with a little bit of Speedball Super Black. And now a little bit of water. And the water did help substantially. The problem is I can be stubborn. And like say, I'm going to ink this entire piece with just a 102. And it will bite me right in the butt. You know, there's a point where I should switch to a fine liner. As anti-fine liner as I am, there's a point where you should just switch. And I honestly think I passed that point a while ago on this piece.
I smoke too much. I drink too much.
But like I said, I'm stubborn, so
That I can't stop. We could see clearly now.
I'm gonna ink this with a 102, damn it.
Could see clearly now. That I can't stop. We could see clearly now. We could see clearly now.
Now there is. Okay, so this. Okay, so. These counter opposing lines I'm going to end up doing with a brush.
I smoke too much, I drink too much. I tell myself that I can't stop. We could see clearly now. We could see clearly now. We could see clearly now.
Let's get this back in frame.
We could see clearly now. We could see clearly now.
I think. Okay, now I need another. I need a new 01 micron. Boom.
We could see clearly now. We could see clearly now. We could see clearly now. We could see clearly now.
You said the same thing I told ya. My eyes are clear, there's no secret. I wanna know, was it serious? I need it clear, my best friend. Isn't easy to show with the weight of the world on my shoulders. I know I told ya, it's the best light I know. It's not a game that I am playing, my love. Trying to hold my feeling, I don't know what's right. I'll find the best way, I think that I might. I know you made it in the nick of time. I'm calling on you. I think we're made of something. Mysterious, I think I found my own way. Isn't easy to show with the weight of the world on my shoulders. I know I told you, it's the best light I know. It's not a game that I am playing, my love. Trying to hold my feeling, I don't know what's right. Find the best way, I think that I might. I know you made it in the nick of time. I'm calling on you. I something. I think we're made of something. Tryna hold my feeling, I don't know what's right. I'll find the best way out that I might. I know you made it in the nick of time. I'm calling on you. I think we're made of something.
All right, now I need my trustiest brush out of all my brushes. My Winsor Newton Series 7, size 2. And I need to screw up this rendering. Joke, of course, but
Inside lane, missing exits, I'm glued to the pavement. Between the lines, I'll keep my gaze straight ahead as the last stop flies by. No more waiting for the gun to fire. No more walking through revolving doors. I've gone around once, and I don't need to go around anymore. It's time to break away. Forget your sober case. Stop dwelling on empty words.
now for this part, I always save the faces for last. I don't know why. Okay, my Instagram's blowing up right now.
Full steam through the setbacks. You can't win 'em all, but I'm proud I tried.
Anyway,
Glad we had a dialogue. It's good to shape the mind.
yeah, I don't know why I always save the faces for last. It's my 01 micron or 01 multiliner, yeah.
Taking risks, I'm casting off without a lifeline. Break away, forget your sober.
Not gonna lie, I prefer the Copic multiliners over the microns all day long.
Cancel the cruise control. Switch it in the manual. Don't you wanna feel right again? Don't you
Let's go back to my old 102 nib. I love this nib so much. Right as I say that, it stops working. Alright, now the 0-1 Copic multiliner. Nah, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm hopping all over the place right now. Do 0-1 micron. I think this is my more dry 0-1 micron. These dry 0-1 microns serve an actual decent purpose, which allows you to do like build-up feathering, like what I would consider petting the line into a feather. So when your 0-1 microns start to dry out, don't toss them until they're actually dead. They do serve a purpose. Since the ink is being finicky, I mean, I could just switch ink. I'm just being stubborn. But I can pet this 0-1 micron, kind of scribble, and then pet it out. create a feathered line. It's dry. When they actually start to get dry, I like them because they allow me to get a more organic line by controlling the hand speed. The quicker I move my hand, the thinner the line is. It allows me to get more variation. My line weight, one tool. Something like this. So what I do here is I start like right there, and then I work the line in both directions. That way the line tapers nice in both directions. That, and then start back here, bring the line back. Rendering that was going on. My phone ringing? My phone is ringing. Hello? Hey. Someone wants to say something to me? Oh, thank you. How am I doing? I'm doing good. I'm doing a YouTube live stream. Yeah, right now. I'm just bored. What's that supposed to mean? Bring a guitar? I don't think I'm gonna bring a guitar. There you go. I don't think I'll be bringing a guitar. I mean, I could, but I'm definitely probably not gonna bring an instrument. I can meet over there. No, like over. Well, that was confusing. Oh, I can meet at your place. Yeah, over. Both are over there for me. So. All right. Yeah. Let me wrap this up and then I'll head over. All right. I'll see you in a bit. Bye. All right. Crunch time, guys. Crunch time. Crunch time. That was my family. Doing some birthday stuff, but unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to finish this panel right now. I'll do it later. This is gonna be inked entirely on stream, so I'm not gonna work on this off stream. I've already inked this once. Let me just block in these shadows real quick and I'll wrap it up there. And I am redoing this based on feedback from another artist who is legion beyond my skill level. So I want to get this redone. So he already gave me his feedback on the previous one I did, and he's kind enough to go over my work and help me improve, which goes full circle because that's what I do on, well, I guess to an aspect, what I do on my YouTube channel is try to give people information to improve their tools and stuff like that. So. Get all this blocked in. There's actually a little highlight right here. I think I missed that last time.
When I close my eyes, I can almost see it. When I take a breath, you fill up my lungs. And if my mind works backwards just for a minute,
Okay, so to template or not to template? To template. Whenever you can template. That is what I always say. Unless it's like so frustrating with perspective and stuff, it's just like, I'm not gonna. It'll take me 4 hours to template something. There's a slight curve to his shirt. No, I don't think it was quite that extreme. Probably more like that. That's why God invented white ink. Or the Posca pen in my particular circumstance. But let's get this.
when I take a breath, you fill up my lungs. And if my mind works backwards just for a minute, I hold on to you before the memory's gone. I remember you, you left my spirit with you high as
Here, pro tip. Whenever you're inking lines, start from a conjoining area and do the stroke outwards. Especially with a fine liner. That way it naturally kind of tapers the way it should. Like this is a thicker area. Go into a thinner area, the line work there. And then from here, this is a conjoining area of the jawline, their cowl. Kind of pull it into there. And then this is another thicker area. Pull the line work out there. Then going from the same spot, building it back there. Yeah. This is the thick spot going down over the cheek. Like that.
Lights out, lying in your arms, and these feelings start to change.
Should I spot my blacks real quick? I really gotta get going.
One look into your eyes,
No. I think what I'm gonna do real quick, 0-1 multi-liner. I'm gonna build in his teeth real quick.
I don't know the score, but I never wanted you more than I do tonight. Escape with me. Will you escape with me? And we start brand new.
There's a lot of stuff going on with her face that is very detail oriented that I missed last time. That I will not mess up this time. I am determined. But for now, I think. Do I just spot the blacks with a brush pen? Is that what I do here? Take the lazy way out. Be like, you know, I could use an actual brush and ink, or I could just use a brush pen. Ah, man. See? That's what happens. Get overly cocky. And I throw the line wrong. It's fine. Again, why there's white. Never be afraid to like screw up. I mean, you can only put so much white paint on, but like the first time you throw a line, like whatever. Just fix it. Like stuff that I go outside the gutters on, like, or go into the gutter on. Clean that up digitally. Put tape over it. You know, there's a million. Million options. Believe it or not, white artist tape, like, that's an old trick for cleaning up gutters. Just throw that tape along your panel border and scan it in. You'll be good to go. Alright, Posca pen. See, luckily, because this was done with a nib, I can see the original nib line. And I can just, you know, trace that back. And then after the ink dries, I build it back with the micron. You know. It's a give and take. And in some areas, you may want to forego, depending on your level of control with the brush. You may want to forego using a brush to fill the blacks and use a pen instead. Got 08 micron or something. I don't listen to my own advice, so I'll screw up. Yeah. I just want to get these blacks filled before I head out. That will leave just the face of Ghost and her hair and stuff. Some of the rendering. Some panel cleanup. The way I look at it is you could try to be super precise and worry about where your lines go. Or you can just clean it up. You know, be careful with it, but at the same time, be a little careless. That way you get the I don't know, fluidity of the line you're trying to get. And then if you overthrow, just clean it up. Just make sure just make sure you clean it up. You know, there's ultimately going to be lines that need to get cleaned up and stuff, but if you watch Jim Lee ink his own stuff, he uses a lot of whiteout to do cleanup on his rendering and stuff like that. Once I saw that, I was just like, you know what? If Jim Lee can get away with using whiteout, so can I. He's not exempt from the rules. So why can I be? Yeah, it really comes down to the final product. As long as the final product looks good, you're good. The original art may not look quite as good, and you may not be able to sell it for as much. As long as your published work looks good, that's what really matters, because that's what you're selling. And if your fans are diehard enough, they'll want that original artwork, whether or not you use whiteout on the page. If anything, it makes it more authentic, in my opinion. But otherwise, you're just an inhuman robot that never makes mistakes. Which some guys are. I really gotta start getting back into making videos. Like, instead of doing this live inking. I know a lot of people are enjoying the live inking, but I want to do more ASMR videos. I actually have new microphones and stuff for that, and some tips and tricks videos, educational stuff that my channel is known for. Update some of my older videos and stuff like that. White speck there. Go back with the Posca pen and try to spot some of these areas that I kind of overthrew. Right there. Right here. I'm not gonna lie to you, these Posca pens are like one of the best things that I've discovered for corrections. The pen tip one is not as good in my opinion as like the plastic weird brush tip one. That thing works amazing for corrections. Alright, so this is pretty much where I'm gonna leave it off for now. We got, we'll call it 1/3 of the page done. Got the first two panels. First panel's completed. Let me see if I can get this more frame. So part of it's not under the chat for the people watching it back. So I just got to do ghost face and hair, which I really want to take my time with. This panel's my favorite panel on the page, believe it or not. I really like the way that this is drawn, and I'm gonna do better on it this time than I did last time. I'll do even better. And then the rest of this. But while I'm doing corrections, hold on. So there's some stuff here. I'm just gonna fix my panel border overthrow right there. All of this, actually, this overthrow stuff, like I said, you could use artist tape or fix it up in Photoshop after you're done, but like I said, I don't take my own advice, so you know. Whatever. Alright, so that's where we're at for now on this piece. As always, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining me for my live inking. I'll be back on. I'm on vacation right now to focus on inking. I hit the deadline of the one piece that was of biggest concern for me. So that is getting ready to hit Instagram and stuff soon. but boy, do I have some other stuff I gotta do. I have to finish page 1 of Absolute Carnage, which I have here. Gotta finish that up. Then I actually have page 4 printed out of Absolute Carnage. I gotta ink that. That's the background on that's crazy. And then there's a 2-page spread that I gotta set up for pages 2 and 3. I'm basically re-inking the entire Absolute Carnage book as a project of mine. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, as always, thanks for joining me. For everybody that joined my live chat while you guys were here, special shout outs to Mike Moriarty, which I feel like I'm Sherlock Holmes at this point. Tony and Gamut Girl, thank you for joining my live stream. Anybody else that watches this back, thank you very much for joining and or watching this back and taking the time to watch it. Like the video if you liked it. Dislike it if you disliked it. Leave some comments, suggestions, questions, whatever it may be. But anyway, have a good evening or morning, depending on where you're watching this from or when you're watching this. Take care, everybody.